President of the Association of Professional Engineers of Trinidad and Tobago, Engineer Margarita Leonard, International Consultant and feature speaker, Engineer Tony Gibbs, Chairman of the board, Engineer Professor Winston Mellows and Registrar Jerry Medford, representatives of state agencies, Division Fire Officer Ramdeo Hudu, President of the Joint Consultative Council, Mr. Afro Raymond, and Relief Officer ODPM Captain Neville Wint, members of the associations, fellow professionals, students, and members of the media. Good morning. It is a privilege to be here this morning among so many esteemed professionals in the fields of disaster management. Senator the Honorable Gary Griffith sends his regards and also his apologies for his absence. He would have been extremely happy to share this time with you and engage in the process of producing knowledge and the type of intelligence to advance our society in the area of disaster preparedness and management. However, matters of state has deprived him of this opportunity, but he is confident that as you meet today, the course for safer Trinidad and Tobago will be charted as you harness your collective wisdom into an actionable product towards the development of a better and safer Trinidad and Tobago. The theme for this conference is very engaging, as it seeks to provide answers to the readiness of a nation state to confront disasters. Within both recent and antecedent memory, many narratives have been recorded where the best of us and the most ready of us have been challenged by nature, whether it is an earthquake beyond the imagination of the Richter scale, terrorist activities, oil spills, hurricanes for which we could never prepare, floods due to an unprecedented deluge, you name it, and we have been challenged. But it is my hope and the hope of the government that at the end of this conference, a discourse will be developed and recorded that will assist us to reduce the impact of disasters on our people and on our society. And so towards this end, the Ministry of National Security, through its Office of Disaster Preparedness and Management, continues to advance Trinidad and Tobago's readiness by improving the delivery of comprehensive disaster management, which includes improving the nation's response to national and man-made threats through superior situational awareness, emergency response capabilities, and critical infrastructure protection. The Ministry of National Security, through the efforts of the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Management, strategizes towards national resilience building while considering the physical, social, economic, and environmental factors of vulnerability. Managing risk, especially before, during, and after disaster, not only aids the management of risk throughout the country, but also establishes the role of all national security stakeholders in disaster management locally, nationally, and internationally, including the role of professional expertise such as engineers. The resolution document of the United Nations in 2011, entitled Science and Technology for Development, is very informative, for located in this resolution are some key reaffirmations, which include that the training and retention of scientific, technological, and engineering talent, mechanisms for the funding of research, the commercialization of scientific knowledge, the building of strategic partnerships for the transfer of technology, innovative financing strategies, and an innovation-friendly culture can all play critical roles in harnessing scientific and technological knowledge for development in pre- and post-disaster scenarios. There is no doubt then that science, technology, and engineering play a strategic role in developing solutions for the problems facing the world today, problems which include climate change and the food and energy crises, and that most of the knowledge that countries need in order to address the most urgent social and economic problems already exist either in text or in the collective wisdom of you, our esteemed professionals, waiting to be applied. The current scale and relative frequency of emergencies that develop into disasters necessitate a professional approach to their management. New initiatives for building resilience provide opportunities for professional engineers to engage actively in proactive services. These would focus on the probable performance of existing and new infrastructure in relation to hazard impacts of excessive magnitude during the normal service life of assets. Effective disaster management will therefore be dependent on proactive preparedness based on improved risk assessments and widely increased resilience capabilities. All opportunities for engaging forensic assessment, strengthening and rehabilitating existing infrastructure, as well as in preparedness, response, recovery and reconstruction activities, provide avenues for professional engineers to develop more formal connections with emergency service responders and the general public. We recognize the importance of the role of engineering in disaster risk management. It is a natural partnership that can only redound to the benefit of citizens across the global village. In this regard, the Ministry of National Security and the ODPM continue to collaborate on a number of projects before, during, and after national and man-made disasters, and during all phases of disaster management, which includes prevention, mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery. Some key collaborations include the ODPM's CORE program, which deals with communities organized and ready for emergencies, which is an initiative started by the ODPM as a way to impart important risk reduction information and promote awareness. Phase 2 of CORE was entitled Better and Safer in Construction, and the primary objective of Phase 2 was to reduce structural vulnerability in communities through the basic campaign, which is Better and Safer in Construction. An effort was made not only to reinforce the importance of safer building as a methodology for mitigation, but to highlight cost-effective mechanisms for improving building structural integrity, such as the use of hurricane straps. Engineers worked alongside the ODPM to develop the material and content which was distributed nationally. The creation of a National Disaster Risk Reduction Committee and Subcommittee, which has members including agency heads, division managers, technical and field staff, researchers, planners, academics, first responders, aid workers, information sharing across agencies, and a pool of expertise which can be utilized to identify gaps and collaboratively formulate multi-sectoral solutions for disaster risk management. Members of this committee form technical working groups, of which representatives from the Association of Professional Engineers of Trinidad and Tobago share the expertise. The ACET, alongside the ODPM, is currently reviewing the 2009 edition of the International Building Code and associated reference code standards to determine those requirements that are applicable nationally. They are also involved in preparing national deviations to make applicable those requirements in the IBC 2009 and reference codes that are not directly applicable nationally. Also, the revision of TTS 599, the Guide to the Design and Construction of Small Buildings, to transform the document to a small building code, and development of draft legislative and regulatory framework required to support the enforcement of the requirements of the National Building Code and Small Building Code. There has also been formation of a cabinet-appointed National Building Code Committee with the purpose of overseeing the formulation of a National Building Code for Trinidad and Tobago. Two main functions of this activity, again, would be the revision of TTS 599, the Guide to the Design and Construction of Small Buildings, to transform the document to a small building code, and the document of draft legislative and regulatory framework, again required to support the enforcement of the requirements. APET is also engaged in the National Critical Facilities Protection Program. This Critical Facilities Protection Program seeks to develop initiatives to address the protection of critical facilities in Trinidad and Tobago. It is grounded in a wider national effort to reduce Trinidad and Tobago's vulnerability to all natural and man-made hazards. Within this last decade, international events have made more urgent the imperative to protect existing facilities and build resilient critical facilities that are essential to the well-being and safety of residents and the sustainability of our economy. Most recently, the governments of St. Lucia and St. Vincent requested volunteer engineers to assist with response and rehabilitation efforts. APET assisted by providing the information to their membership, and volunteers went to assist in the fields of civil engineering and biomedical engineering. Gordon Stanley Brown, a former professor in electrical engineering at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, wisely opined that engineers operate at the interface between science and society. This is not only informative, it is true. And it is in times of disaster that the evidence of what takes place at the frontiers where science meets society is manifested. The initiatives mentioned highlight the commitment of the government toward harvesting a beneficial relationship between the private and public sector agencies in disaster management. The Ministry's disaster risk management programs continue to support the role of engineers in research, contribution and validation of international best practice methodologies for disaster risk reduction while making them applicable to Trinidad and Tobago. Also assist engineers in advising at technical and strategic levels, improve the resilience of buildings through research, developmental strategies, learned recommendations by engineering subject matter experts, and provide critical inputs and support for relevant policies, plans, and legislation such as the Hazard Mitigation Policy and Plan, because we recognize that the role of science and our engineers, because we recognize the role of science and our engineers if solutions are to be unearthed and applied in our ever-changing world. I know this is not going to be a talk shop where competitive rhetoric holds sway as each one tries to impress each other with their knowledge. The conference seems to hold the promise of a production plans, and as stakeholders we stand with eager anticipation to be informed of new directions founded by this meeting of learned minds. I am aware of the passion of our own Dr. Stephen Ramroop, CEO of ODPM. He possesses that drive to make Trinidad and Tobago a safe haven, and I am sure that in his detailed presentation sometime during the course of this conference he will address in detail some of the initiatives mentioned casually in this presentation. My philosophy is, if it can be done, now is the best time to do it. We are the best people to make it happen. We possess the most informed minds to unearth solutions. Let us therefore put our hearts and minds together as we work assiduously to reduce disaster risks for our people now and for posterity. On behalf of the Minister of National Security, Senator the Honorable Gary Griffith, I do thank you.